Today is Sunday, August 7th, 2022. It is also part 2 of day 384 of web dev. Part 1, I basically just created this site, and part 2, which is this part, which is day 10 of JS, is me using JavaScript only to change this site to be all about dining to be all about cinema. So that includes changing the image, changing the logo, changing the dining text itself with JavaScript to be all cinema related. And so the only thing I changed from part 1 is not changed, but I added a span tag surrounding dining, and I gave it an ID of subject, so I'm able to access it using JavaScript. And I already put that in the template, so that's what I have right now is what the template has right now. All right, so I'll start with JS, and I'll do like a variable called subject, and I'll set that equal to the subject itself by accessing it, and I'll do get element by ID function, and then I'll put in the ID, and for me the ID is subject because again in my HTML I gave the dining the ID of subject over here. So now I can change the subject's inner HTML to say something like cinema, and now it's all about cinema. So that's part 1. The second thing I would like to change obviously would be the logo, and so I kind of have one already here. I'm just going to recolor it to be white. Click on done, copy image address, and then I'm going to go here, and for the logo it's a little bit different because for the logo, if I look at my HTML, I just have a div called logo. The real styling where I put the logo is literally in the CSS. Like I put the background, like the image itself, in the CSS, which is a little bit more different to access. So to do this, I'll have to do var, set a variable called logo, and the way I'll access it is by doing documents, so accessing the DOM, and then I have to access, I'll target it first, so I'll do get element by ID, and then put in the ID because it's logo. I gave it an ID of logo, literally I said ID equals logo. And that accesses the logo itself. But to access the background image, I'll have to do logo.style because I need to access the style of that object, which in this case it's the logo. So the style of the logo, because the background image is in the CSS, it's in the style. And then I'm able to change that and set it equal to the URL. And before doing anything, put a backslash in front of the quotation marks so that they don't cancel out, the quotation marks on the outside. And then paste in that URL, and then semicolon at the end, and then the logo should change, right? Biggest mistake that I made doing this, or like when I was learning this, is that I did something like URL and set that, what did I do? I did equal to URL and then did this for some reason. And I put the URL there. I treated it as if it was CSS, but it's not. Like everything has to go within quotations. And then the second mistake was that I didn't know that, it's not that I didn't know, well, I knew that, well, whatever. The mistake that you can make is that the quotation marks actually cancel out. So it's like saying, oh, it's ending here. So in order to avoid that, you just put a backspace between the quotation marks so that they don't count as canceling out. But yeah, that's that. So let me just go back. All right. So the logo should change as so. And then the third part is the background image itself. So I have an Unsplash image ready to go. I think I'm going to do this one maybe. And I'm just going to right click, copy image address. And so same thing. I have the showcase over here, and I have a showcase, and I gave it an ID of showcase, but again, it doesn't have the image in there. The showcase image is literally in the CSS. It's a style. It's over here, the background. And so what I'll do is I'll just go into my JS and set a variable called showcase, image, and access that by accessing the DOM and then using the function get element by ID because I'm getting the element by its ID name, which is showcase. And then I can do showcase underscore image, access the style of it, and then the background, which is the property, and set that equal to quotation marks. And then inside I'll put in like the CSS property URL quotations, put a backslash in before each quotation mark, and then paste that link in there. And then I'll be able to see it change to be all about cinema, which is pretty cool. Now, here's the thing. One thing I struggled with yesterday is that I am not sure how to target like the linear gradient and to change that. I believe I have to do something like with WebKit or something. I don't even know. But if that's the case, that's something that I have to learn. So that's why it looks a little bit, I don't know, what do you call it? Like not visible. Also, one more thing. So apparently another thing that I learned is that when you change at least one property of your CSS styles of a certain object, the other ones, like the browser just ignores it for some reason, and then I have to restate them. So for example, just because I changed the background of the showcase, now all of these properties like don't even apply anymore, like specifically, you know, the one like background size, cover. So I have to like reset that. I can't even speak. Because you can clearly see it doesn't work because you see the image being repeated at the right over here. So I'll just have to do showcase image dot styles dot background cover and set that equal to cover. And now it should work. Again, background cover. Oops, it's not background cover, it's background size. Let me see. Why is it not working? Background. Oh, because I did styles instead of style. Let's see. How about now? There we go. Okay, now it works. And then what's one other thing that I wanted to say? I think that's it. Maybe I want to pick another image because it's looking a little like maybe something like this one. I can right click, copy image address, go back to my code pen, and just change that image over here. Let's see. Would that be better? I think that's a little bit better, like visual wise, so that I can see all about cinema a little bit more. All right, so that's pretty much it for today. Yeah, so it went from this. Let me just open a debug mode. It went from this to this, right? Using JS only. So again, we changed the logos, we changed, you know, anytime it mentioned dining, and I also changed the background image to be related also. All right, that's it for today. Bye.